another episode of The Next Fix, and I have with me today Mary Beth Schrudder. It rhymes with butter, and she's full of energy, and she looks fantastic. But I don't imagine that was always the case. She has a history like a lot of us do, and so she's here to share how she's managed to get to this outstanding place in her life. And but we always like to hear, the nitty gritty of when things were dark and ugly. And so that being said, Mary Beth, welcome to the show. And without any further ado, let us hear about when things weren't so great and you start realizing I need to make a fucking move here.
Yeah, well, thank you. And thank you for the compliment too, by the way. I am 50 years old, and that is significant because I grew up in the 70s, and then that was part of like what I would call my childhood trauma. I think a lot of us were traumatized in the 70s. Things were different back then, right? And I think the reason that I got my addiction was, I have several addictions: alcohol, food addiction, which we can't abstain from food, right? And so that was a toughie. And then also I got involved in like toxic relationships. And I do believe all of it stemmed from my childhood trauma.
Right.
And I was also super sensitive, like a super sensitive soul, we can call it. And, the first time I drank I was only 11 years old. And that's a big red flag.
Right. That's like, okay. So, you say 11, it could mean a lot of things. You accidentally picked up a glass of wine, but I suspect that it was like you consciously consumed it. Is that the idea here?
This was conscious. So a friend of mine, and I was on vacation with her family, actually. And her family was pretty lenient. It's not like they gave us the alcohol, but they left it out on the, we were at a condo and they just left it out all over the countertops. And we were just like, let's try it, just curious, silly kids. And
right.
I just can't imagine, like, my son's 21 now. I just cannot imagine him drinking at 11.
Right.
So we just mixed a bunch of, like, we made a concoction, right? Just, I don't know what we made, but I just remember being like, this is the first time in my life I felt so good. Like, that's a huge red flag. Like, I didn't have anxiety. Like, I just always had generalized anxiety, which stemmed from my childhood, right? And I felt, woo. And then my social anxiety is gone. That's why a lot of us get started, right? We've got anxiety. Right. It's a social lubricant. And I just was like, oh my gosh, I felt this freedom and just, I was able to relax. I was not a relaxed child,
Right.
I had an abandonment wound from my parents' divorce when I was 5. And I thought my mom was going to leave too. So I just always had this, and my nervous system was dysregulated. I can say that now, but when I was 5, when they got divorced, I didn't know, there was other things that happened too, but so that's kind of when it started.
And so your parents drank, right? I mean, obviously
No.
that's where they didn't drink.
Hang on. My mom didn't, but my dad, in retrospect, he probably was an alcoholic. He doesn't drink right now, but his dad. So his dad was died of cirrhosis of the liver when my mom was pregnant with me, and I never met him. But what I found out later is that he was very abusive to my dad and the whole family, my paternal grandfather, and that's kind of why my dad has, he was emotionally distant, but he was doing his best. Like, you learn that through all the shadow work you do. Like, our parents are still growing up too,
Right.
And for him to not be abusive and to be emotionally distant was a good thing, because
step in the
compared to his dad.
Right. So, but it is in there. So it's like lurking. It's in the genes or blood, or however you want to describe it. So you're at 11, and this is the first time that you have you've consumed alcohol, and now all your jokes are much more funnier in your life at the party. But so
I didn't become a regular drinker at 11, but I did at 14. At 14 is when I started smoking weed, and I had a boyfriend who was older than me, and so I had that influence. And then all my friends were his friends, and everybody did drugs and drank a lot, so that just became my normal, right? Like, I didn't even see anything wrong with it.
It's it's right, and my history is similar, but maybe not as young, but same kind of path. So this develops, but still like abnormal for the age, but like when did it start getting rocky? Was it like Was it in your teens, or was it like in your early 20s, or when was it? When was the, like you mentioned, it's a red flag to drink at 11. That's, I believe, I agree with you. But like, so when the other red flags, when they start showing up?
Gosh, like I'm going to be honest with you. I was in major denial most of my life. And it's because of how normal it was, because of like, it is just, I mean, I really compared myself to all my friends that I surrounded myself with drank as much or more than me. And
Yeah.
throughout my adult life, like I grew up in Texas, I live in Cincinnati now, but like I just always found friends who drank as much as me at least. Like I wasn't going to hang out or even date anybody or marry anybody who didn't drink. So
Right.
it was
Right.
hard for me to see because it's so glorified, it's so normal. And then I did have people in my life, like my mom, but like I said earlier, she never drank. So I was just like, okay, whatever. My mom's just lame or
Right.
controlling. And actually, my husband, I'm divorced, but when I was married, he brought up that I drank too much, but he was controlling in other ways. So I kind of put that in that basket as well. Like, whatever, he's just controlling me. An unpopular opinion, ladies, sometimes our exes we're not wrong about everything, like. Like I look back now and I'm like, God, he was kind of like, even though I could call him controlling for sure. He was not wrong about that. I was drinking
Right.
way too much. I think that I was just in such denial all the way up until my 40s. And I was in a corporate job that I really hated. I'm a single mom and I just didn't like my life, but I still didn't think I had a problem. Like alcohol was just like my reward at the end of the day. Right. So like, and all my friends, there was always people to meet me at happy hour. So again, I just couldn't see it as a problem because I'm after work. I started to look forward to it way too much. I noticed I'm gaining weight. These are things that weren't happening to me when I was younger. And I'm like, okay, I don't like this.
Right.
And I didn't know it was affecting my sleep. I was blaming so I'm in my 40s, like everything's my hormones. I blamed everything on my hormones. And it probably was in a way because alcohol destroys our hormones. It
Right.
dysregulates us.
Well,
And it
the
was.
thing is, you're talking what I like to call like mental gymnastics, and it's
Hmm.
my brain was able to blame anybody, anything. I
Yeah.
mean, it was as outstanding how well my brain could convince me that it wasn't just an idea to go drink or go into that liquor store and like drink half a bottle in the bathroom. Like it was the only option. It's like, oh, I have to do this. Like this is happening. And so when I hear like you're blaming that and blaming this, it's like the brain is so exceptional if you do have a problem to not see it and then just like circumvent the entire issue altogether and blame and you just like pluck out your hormones, your ex, your this. And it's like now looking back, of course, you have this laundry list of like of all these things that are like clearly a problem. But at the time though, you're saying like you were still doing well, operating as like as an alcoholic. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah, I was very functional, and that's what also makes it hard to see. Like I was running two businesses and I wasn't a total hot mess most of the time. I would just so I didn't have like I'm sure like some people can moderate. I'm not a moderator. I think you're either a abstainer or a moderator. I am amazing at abstinence because I'm such an extremist. I'm all in or all out. Like I'm rebellious in general. And so I'm great at like not starting. It's the same with freaking cookies. Okay. Like once I have a cookie, I want the whole sleeve of cookies. Like I don't want to just,
Yeah, yeah.
our brains, when we're have the addictive brains, we get more reward from things. We get more reward from the cookie, from sex, from everything. Our dopamine, it's the way that we handle dopamine. And
Yeah.
like we talked a little bit before the recording, it can be a superpower, right? Because
Yeah.
like I love my brain and that's a way to reframe it. I love it, but it's just refocusing on it, on the things that are healthy. Like for instance, when I did finally realize and admit that I had a problem, and it was a 2-year process to take me to quit because I was like trying to keep alcohol in my life so bad. Like I'm going to drink
Right.
organic wine and that's healthy,
Yeah,
right?
right.
That's how I was.
Or did you ever do like the vodka? I tried the vodka
Vodka,
soda thing. Vodka
vodka
soda.
soda
I'm like,
thing.
oh, less calories and this and that. And
I drink 10 times as much.
Yeah, and it's like faster and anyway,
Woo.
yeah, that's
Oh, horrible.
there's
And then I even tried drinking beer because I don't like beer. Like literally, I don't like it. So I was like, well,
so
if I drink something I don't like, then I'll have that stop button that I don't really have. It didn't work because then I have clouded judgment. And then I'm going to go to the store and buy a bottle of fucking wine on my way home. Right. So
right,
then
and
I'm going to drink
cookies,
that bottle
and cookies.
and cookies, Taco Bell, whatever it might be, just anything bad for us. Like, and then
Yeah.
it doesn't, it's like a 3-day thing at least, because the next day you're getting more
Right.
fried foods to feel better. And, for me, when I learned, God, the hair of the dog really, really works, I had this really embarrassing, so like this one night, and I was okay. So I had this I was still in corporate world, and I had a client early the next morning, and I promised myself I was only going to have 2 glasses of wine. Well, those promises don't work before you've done the healing, right? And I ended up getting freaking hammered. And then the 3 a.m. I'm up, with the shakes, and I'm like anxious, and I'm like, oh my God, because then I learned from this book, Alcohol Explained by William Porter, that since alcohol is a depressant, our bodies create stimulant. It's the normal, natural thing for our body to do to counteract that depressant. So then that alcohol wears off, and all you're left is a stimulant. So I was overstimulated, up at 3 a.m., shaking, anxiety to the nth degree. And I just waited until 7 a.m., the earliest I could go get something from the grocery store. And I got a bottle of wine before my client, and then a gift bag, because I was so embarrassed that I'm buying a bottle of wine at 7 a.m. I'm like outside the store, like open. So and then I'm like actually about two bottles of wine, if I'm being honest, and a couple gift bags. So then I to have that day, not for, but I'm like, they're going to think I'm going to a party tonight. I was like, that was a big wake up call for me. I mean, I had a DUI in 2008. That wasn't even a wake up call to me, to be honest with you, because all my friends had DUIs, and they were, at first I was okay. I was arrested. I'm crying. I'm in this little red dress on Valentine's Day, driving home from downtown Cincinnati to my house, like on the side of the freaking freeway, in high heels, a dress, mascara running down my face, crying because I'm arrested. Well, why didn't that stick? Because the consequences weren't big enough. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. That's, I mean, people that, I understand, and I know exactly where you're coming from, and I envy people that got like a hangover and they called it quits, or they got one DUI and they're like, that was it, I turned everything around. I'm like, man, I'm such an asshole. I had to like be homeless, in jail for like extensive periods of time. I had to be wanted. The list goes on because my resilience. Because what I'm picking up on here is that you're a bit of a maniac like myself, and it's like the threshold for like, I'm like, no, I'm good, and it's like other people are like, you're not good, like you're on the side of the road crying, being arrested. That should be a very big marker of like, hey, do you need to change something? But you're saying no, it's not. And so, all right, so let's get to when. What
I should say it was in the moment. It was, but then when I talk to everybody, it's like, who do we surround ourselves with? Everybody's like, oh, I had one too, or me too. And I thought, so I was going through my divorce in 2008, and I thought I was going to lose custody of my son. That was my biggest thing. But then actually my ex found out, and he kind of laughed about it. Like like it wasn't a big deal. We were already separated. I was already living in a separate home. And I think that's what I mean by, since I didn't have the consequences. But at first I was freaked out, like as I was getting arrested. That was pretty bad.
Right. So
but it wore off.
Of course. And yeah, and I know that feeling, because it's like I said, it's a laundry list of things that what should have been the turnaround. But now I want to know your turnaround. I want to know like, when did we start turning the corner, or what was it that the catalyst, if you will?
Yeah, well, I think, so even though I was still drinking, I got this idea to become a life coach. The first time I heard about becoming a coach, I was like, that is for me. This is like I never had anything in my life that I could feel passionate about. And I was like, I really wanted to help others. And I didn't think I had an addiction at the time. I still was partied. I was a party girl, is what I would label myself. So I did overcome so many things in my life that I did want to help people with. So it wasn't addiction yet. I actually didn't start. I was a coach for 2 years before I added the addiction recovery niche. When I added the addiction recovery niche to help other people, not me. I don't have a problem. Other people do. Come going to help them with their addictions. It was just a niche I added on. That's when I started learning. So a lot of it was knowledge. I'm like, holy crap. I'm so resonated with all this stuff. Like I think I am a very self-aware person, which helps. I mean, once I got out of that denial, once I got out of it, when I was reading all these books and gaining all this knowledge about alcohol and learning, like, because I was a pretty healthy person, like in general, other than the alcohol. And I would just be like, well, I'm just going to take some milk thistle and some B vitamins and all this stupid shit we tell ourselves is going to cancel out the alcohol. It doesn't cancel out the alcohol. I was fairly healthy besides the alcohol. And I'm learning like how much it destroys your body. Like it's just, we're drinking straight up poison every day and supplements aren't going to cancel that out. I'm learning like, oh my gosh, this is like, it's a group 1 carcinogen, just up there with asbestos and tobacco. It's linked to 7 different types of cancer, and I'm freaking out about like all this stuff that I didn't know. And why isn't it on the labels? Why isn't it on the labels? Because I'm someone who doesn't drink, tap water because of fluoride, and then here I am drinking ethanol, which is rocket fuel, basically. It doesn't make sense. So that started to wake me up, just learning about it. And I'm also teach law of attraction. And so I'm all about, how you feel, positive vibes. We attract what we are. We attract what, we attract what we judge to, by the way, guys. Like that was a huge one for me. Anything we have an energetic spark with, we're attracting. And so I just knew too much about law of attraction to keep it in my life, because I'm self-sabotaging. I was teaching law of attraction. And once I actually woke up and realized this is nothing that I can just like sweep under the rug or kick the can down the road later on to deal with, because I'm not living in integrity as a coach. I'm sitting here now that I'm aware, like addiction, basically, if you can't put something down for a week, with that, and it's having a negative effect on your life, that's an addiction, and there's so many, like shopping is an addiction. People blow that off, but it really can destroy families, when you're spending more money than you have and we're filling a void, right? And addictions, we're just always just seeking relief. We just want to feel better. We know innately that I'm supposed to feel good and I don't feel good. So we're just trying to numb out. But the reality is we cannot numb. We can't numb those bad feelings without also numbing those good feelings of joy and fun and laughter, things that we're supposed to feel every day. That I was just kind of, numbing myself so much that I just didn't realize how good I could feel. And I took a 30-day cleanse. I did a 30-day cleanse from alcohol. Honestly, some of it was vanity purposes. And that's okay. I want to say that's okay, guys. If you just are like feeling like you're fat and maybe it's alcohol, it is alcohol. Like I was starting to get insulin resistance in my 40s. So I'm over 5 years alcohol free, and I lost 20 pounds. Just like kind of released it. I just released the weight because I was really hurting my body with all that it did create insulin resistance. And it took a while. I started to gain a lot of weight that I didn't want to gain.
I love that you I'm a firm believer in the law of attraction and all like manifestation, all of those things. But it's like, I always find it so funny how God or the universe can work around. Like you started off like, I'm so kick ass, I'm going to teach other people how to be kick ass. But in learning how, like the mirror of your teaching, like you're telling people what to do, but then eventually you realize like, oh damn, 2 things. I'm telling them to do something that I'm not. And then also like, maybe I should try what I'm telling everybody to do.
Yeah.
like you're learning about it simultaneously. And I think that's a glorious thing. That's serendipitous, if you will, like that
yes.
it's happening at the same time, but it's sparked from, and it can spark from anywhere. Just like you mentioned, you guys, if it is a vein, if it's some kind of an act of vanity, you want to look better. And so you quit drinking beer. That's fine, because it gets you to the same place. You started teaching people and it got you to a place of clarity, and it got you to a place of, a vantage point, if you will, with your approach. And it included abstinence of alcohol, which was causing you serious issues. And so how you got there doesn't matter. If somebody starts a diet and then all of a sudden their diabetes is reversed and all that, but it started because they look like shit in the mirror, doesn't matter. You still got to you
You
got to
still
this
got
place.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of whatever works, whatever tools you put in your toolbox. And for me, I was lucky because I'd been studying the law of attraction since 2006. And even though I was still in that denial is such a crazy phenomenon. It's just so crazy, like that I could not see that I had this problem. When I put in my bio, I was secretly struggling with it. It was a secret to myself too. I was hiding it from myself.
Right.
But yeah, so because I knew so much about law of attraction, um, that definitely helped me. And that's what I use to help my clients, because the more we raise our vibration, the more we learn about these things, like we can actually raise our vibration enough to where we don't match up to these lower vibrational substances anymore, like alcohol. Like it got to the point where I could not drink it anymore, even if I wanted to. Like I started to just, it was awful for me. And I think that I know more than three people who actually have the same thing, where they had some sort of spiritual awakening, some sort of energetic shift, we could call it, where they could no longer tolerate alcohol after that shift. And that is what happened to me. Like suddenly this one day, because I'm doing all the spiritual recovery stuff that I teach, like all the things, whether it's meditation and breath work and grounding, all of these practical things, having a morning routine, putting yourself to bed. Like I wasn't putting myself to bed on time. Like, you know, um, getting outside of our head and serving other people, like that definitely helps. That's a
Right.
huge component of AA, right? And just connecting with others, finding other things to do that bring you joy instead of just looking forward to the substance, right? So
Right.
I think that's a huge part of it, is I'm doing all these things and suddenly all at once it was just like this shift. It was a paradigm shift. This, like, my identity shifted in this one moment to where, even though I tried to quit for 2 years and doing the organic wine bullshit, things like that, this point I knew that I knew that I knew that I knew that I knew I was done. Like, and I
Right.
knew I was done, and I trusted myself for the first time. Like, because it was this, I'm a different person. I don't even call myself an alcoholic. And this is, unpopular, but I say, and I don't go to AA, I don't teach things like that, but I'm like, again, whatever works for people. But for me, I was ordered to go to AA after my DUI, so I have experience with it. For me, it kept me in that old identity. Like, it made me depressed. And what I teach is the words I am are so powerful. We are in creator mode when we
Huge.
say
Yeah.
I am. So when you're not
Right.
going to catch me saying I am an alcoholic, like I just said it there just to tell you guys, but I
Yeah.
say I'm a person who used to have a bad relationship with alcohol, and I'm no
Right.
longer that person. I shifted. I don't order wine at lunch anymore,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or breakfast.
And that's I it's so wild. Well, not so wild, because there's other people. I've spoken to quite a few people that agree that I was cementing that identity every time I said it. And that for me was like, just not for me. And I mean, out there's very few programs with a success rate or, as powerful as the AA and the 12 steps, and whatever approach people might use to take advantage of such a magnificent resource. It doesn't matter. Again, whatever works. But
Yeah.
my explanation was the same as yours. If I said those words, I was making it true.
Right.
And I still believe that. I agree with you wholeheartedly that, like, I don't say things like money is hard to make. I don't say things like I don't have
No.
enough time. They don't leave. Those phrases don't exist for me.
We got to tell
And
the story that we want to create. Tell a new story.
right.
Like, if you keep going and talking about your old stories and your past, and yes, it helps others, and it's great. The other great thing about AA is you're finding something to do in that time where you used to go to happy hour, or where you used to drink, and like, you got to find something healthy to replace it. I'm sure you talk about this
Right.
all the time on your show, but I became a gym rat. Instead of going
There
to
you go.
happy
Yeah.
hour, I joined the gym. And then, because of my addictive personality, I
Of
like
course.
overdid it. I overdid everything, injured
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah. But hey,
But now I'm
but
balanced. You got to come back to a
right.
balance, a happy medium.
So nah, that's where we might disagree in one thing, because I gave up on balance. And I know that sounds like that's also something that would probably be, most people are like, what the,
Well, with
that's
the
not
gym,
right.
I'm only
Well,
talking about the gym, because
right.
I hurt myself. So then I'm like, okay, I'm not. Then you can't even work out at all, which sucks.
Well, you shouldn't be in a wheelchair. You have a point. You have a point. But like, I just, again, like you had mentioned, like pouring yourself into like a healthy endeavor. I think is the solution for people like yourself and
Yeah.
myself. It's if we're going to get addicted, like I use the example, some big names that like strike a chord. It's like Mother Teresa. I mean, in my opinion, she was an addict, but she was addicted to peace and giving. So it's like she put herself in harm's way to make that happen. And like that's what addicts do. And or like Steve Jobs, he's addicted to innovation. He changed the world. Few people that probably knew him would say that he wasn't an addict. He was addicted to that. I mean, it consumed his life, maybe to some unhealthy like levels. I get it, but like, if we're able to, if we're not able to like strike balance, find it, achieve it, or moderation in your words, then hey, let's get addicted to something that is like, something valuable, something that people look at and say, okay, that's kind of cool. Now,
Yeah.
so I want to know like where you're at now. Are you still coaching? Because you were coaching before you got sober, then you got sober, and you're in the niche of addictions coaching, right? Right, alcoholism,
Yeah.
or is it right?
Yeah, well, so the first 2 years I was a general life coach, and I'm like, I just love learning. I'm always adding on new niches and certifications, and that addiction recovery was one of them. So the first 2 years of coaching, I was more general, and it's interesting because I'd still now I mainly do addiction, but it's not like you think, because when I in my practice, I've been doing it 7 years now. What I learned is at the root of almost every problem that we have is some form of addiction, something that we're addicted to. And this is people who also don't think they're addicts. And that addiction might be as simple as overthinking and negative thinking, because one thought leads to another thought of the same frequency, right? If we're going to go law of attraction. So when, you can actually create these things. Like I was labeled in the past with OCD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, not on any medication. You could probably see my ADHD flying out here during this interview, but hey, you know what? I reframed that. I love my ADHD. It's so badass
Yeah,
because like I have this, energy like nobody. I have a sense of urgency, and I can talk fast and I can get my information
right,
out fast. And I love it. Like I think that it is an advantage to me in my life in general. But yeah,
exactly,
so in general, like I just started to notice like um the root cause of every problem, there's some form of addiction, and even limiting beliefs are addiction. Toxic relationships, I'm going to tell you what, it's so interesting right now, but right now I have more people who hire me because they're stuck in a toxic relationship pattern, which is an addiction, codependency, trauma bonds. We get stuck in these patterns, and that's an addiction. Keeps staying with somebody, either staying with somebody or keep attracting the same situation over and over. And I use law of attraction a lot to help people out of that stuff. I call it spiritual recovery, because we're doing the work. But there's also things like just trying to escape our reality through I mean, it's even video games. Like I used to say like kids and video games is a big problem, but grown-ups are escaping their reality through video games and things like Netflix. It's like, why don't we want to be in our present moment? Why are we always trying to escape reality? And I think like when I really knew that I was healing was when I could finally be with myself without distractions. I've got the chatterbrain. Everybody's listening to me can tell. I got the monkey mind, but I could still learn to be with myself, and
right,
without and scrolling addiction is huge now. Like I will catch myself in that one because I have to use my phone from work. I can't abstain from certain
right,
things, but I will catch myself. And that's the thing, is we just get better at catching ourselves and
exactly,
pausing. I put my phone in another room because ding, 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 ding. Like I don't trust myself with all those notifications, right? I got to
right,
put it on
right,
silent. But pornography is a huge one, like a huge
right.
addiction. And that, like, people laugh it off, but that destroys families.
Oh,
It really
yeah.
does. And guys no longer know what intimacy is, especially if they started out being able to access porn, with the younger generation. Like, how do they think this is sex? They think this is
Right.
intimacy.
Or they lose the art of like courting an actual relationship and like searching and like,
That's
having
right.
a conversation, introducing yourself. And it's like the convenience well, actually not just pornography, but most of the things that you're referencing, I think is like put a serious dent into people's ability to like get out there and do things in real life. So So you're working with all of these. You said predominantly, like just by
Well,
chance, most people coming to you about
relationships,
relationships. Right,
food
right, right.
addiction's a huge one because everybody wants to lose weight. And it's so funny, Ryan, because not funny is a weird word, but it's interesting because people will hire me for one thing, and it's interesting thing because almost everybody ends up sober. And that's not even why they hired me. They're like, I want to lose weight. And then I get them to quit for a while. And just honestly, people don't learn from me talking to them. Words don't teach. Like Abraham Hicks would say, words don't teach. It's by example.
Right.
It's by
Yeah.
example. And people just naturally, like, I feel like my sessions, like they always tell me, "Ooh, I feel like I'm buzzing." Like I give them a buzz, like with my energy, and then it's like this example that I'm putting off. It's an energetic, like we're having an energetic exchange right now. So we want to be
Yeah.
careful who we are exchanging energy with, by the way, including sex. We're exchanging sex is an energetic exchange too. So you want to be careful with that. But yeah, I have a lot of people who may come to me for toxic relationships. And then guess what? Their main problem, so it's easy for us to see when we're outside of it, right? It's harder for us to see
Right.
ourselves. So, like, it's okay. Well, you're in the dating world, the modern dating world. Like, don't drink for the first three drinks. Like, so I'm not telling them don't drink ever, but I'm saying don't drink for your first three dates. Dates is what I
Yeah.
meant to
Right.
say.
Right. 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 Right.
And they're like, what? And that's like really hard to do. And I'm like, well, it shouldn't be that hard to do. And here's why you're having problems is because you're clouding your judgment. You're out and you're not asking the right questions about like
Right.
lifestyle, about values, about, seeing, do they have an open heart? Are they looking for the same thing? What are their expectations for the future? These are questions that are really important to ask in the first few dates, but we're just having a good old time drinking, jumping into bed with strangers. And then you're wondering, oh, why did it not work out? Why did I end up in a toxic relationship? Well, you didn't know the person, you're
Right.
so eliminate drinking, then they'll end up being like, wow, that's kind of like they end up going on a lot of first dates and not because they don't have the cloud of judgment. And so they're asking the right questions and they don't even go on that second date anymore with the toxic person because
Right.
they see the red flags. So a lot of it's easy. And when the people are in the toxic relationships, I really feel like for anyone listening, think back about, how did you get into it? And are you treating the person that you're with, because it's two people. We can't just blame the other person for being toxic. We played a role. We're in that relationship too. What did you do in the beginning of the relationship that you're not doing now? It might be work. Work's another huge addiction. A lot of my people, they can't figure out the relationship, but they're working constantly, ignoring their family, and then wondering why things aren't working out. If we treated our partner as well as we did in the beginning, there wouldn't be any problems. That's extreme. Nobody's going to be able to do that because in the beginning we're in that chemical haze, right?
Right. 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 Right.
And yeah, but we can't do that. But we can at least get to a point where we make an effort. We have to go out of our way to respect our partner, to treat them, to make them feel important. And a lot of us take them for granted. And a lot of people, when you talk to them, and it's so common, these toxic relationships, they are kinder to strangers than they are to their life partner. So it's just things happen. People get married, they have kids. I get it, but foreplay really starts in the morning. Foreplay in a relationship starts in the morning. How are you talking to your partner? How are you treating them? I have both men and women clients telling me the same thing. Like they're not attracted to their partner anymore. And a lot of it starts with how they're treating each other. And men, when they don't feel appreciated and respected, they're going to find somebody who does appreciate and respect them. That's what they're going to be. I don't know if they're going to actually always act on it, but they're going to look for that. They're going to look for that. They're going to have emotional affairs, and this is very common. And women, when they feel criticized all day, when they're with someone who's criticizing them or ignoring them for work or ignoring them for other things, sports can be an addiction. You're ignoring your
Right.
family, like they don't feel wanted, and then they're not turned on. That's why I always say foreplay really starts in the morning.
Yeah. And I think when you were mentioning like people, they they will, or oftentimes they'll give up alcohol. Like if they give that up, if they're in a relationship, um, I think that's one domino that can really knock over the other ones that include intimacy, that include, I mean, there's so many other, and I feel like you seem to be a master of all of the dominoes. So
I don't teach anything that I haven't experienced myself. So yeah, I am a
exactly.
master.
It's true. It's true. It's true. But it shows. I can see it. And so that's an amazing, but that's an amazing ability to have to do what you're currently doing. And so, but you also said sometimes you'll start a professional relationship with a client, and then something else might be lurking, or there might
Mm-hmm.
be something that they're not addressing in, say, maybe the first few sessions, but then it starts to show.
It
Uh,
unfolds.
Right, it unfolds. That is an amazing way to put it. And so, are you taking clients? Like, what's how does that look for people to like
Yeah.
find you? Like, what's how are you operating best these
Thank you
days,
for
or how can people find
asking.
you best? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Day1lifecoaching.com is my website, DAYONE lifecoaching.com. Somebody else I think took the number one, day one. But so yeah, I love that. I love that that was even available, day one life coaching, because there's always a day one, right? For either when we're starting a new habit or breaking an old habit. Sometimes it's just to start new positive habits, right? So day1lifecoaching.com, I do offer a free discovery call if anything I said resonated with you and you think maybe coaching is right for me, maybe not, I don't know. That's why I offer a free call. It's like 30 minutes over Zoom, one-on-one with me. I think one-on-one's better. I do group stuff too, but I mean, like with things like addiction, it really is deeper than just something that you could learn in a group session, I believe. So I love
Yeah.
doing one-on-one. I am taking clients. I do packages, I do single sessions, but so I always have people coming and going. Right now I could take a few more clients and before I'm good, but then, always
Of
like
course.
sometimes I'll get a little bit of a wait, but it's not too long. But yeah, so I
So
do take clients and we have that free call. And if I can't guide you, if I'm not a good match, because I'm definitely not a good match for everyone, I will guide you somewhere else to either a program or somebody else who I think is a better match.
of course, let me ask you this: what are the top 3 symptoms that if somebody has them, they're the ones that should be giving you a call or reaching out? Like, what are the top 3 symptoms that are like, okay, I need help with XYZ, and you're the person to talk to?
So when it depends what we're talking about. Like when it comes to alcohol, I actually don't want a client is not going to be good for me unless you've already made that commitment, because
Of
a
course.
lot of people are trying to be like rely on motivation. Like they'll call me, they'll feel really motivated. I used to take active addicts like that to where they're really motivated, but they're not ready. They haven't really reached that point. They're still having too much fun with alcohol, in other
Yeah,
words.
I understand.
So
I understand. Yeah.
yeah, so they're not going to be good for me because I can't be there 24/7 to motivate them. And what
Of
we really
course.
need to rely on is discipline and commitment, right? Because motivation comes and goes, and we cannot rely on that for anything. So it's great
Right.
when you have it, milk it, but it's going to go bye-bye. Even Olympic athletes aren't always motivated, right? So
Right.
someone who's committed to change, someone who's self-aware enough. So these aren't symptoms as much as these are signs that they're ready for a coach. Like you feel this a level of commitment. You really want to change. Like there's something about your body. Maybe you want to change, because I help people with food addiction. I went through, and guess what, guys? I don't crave sugar anymore because I don't have sugar in my system. I hate to break it to you, but same thing with cocaine. I don't crave cocaine anymore because I
Yeah.
don't have cocaine in my system anymore. Like once we get things out of our system, at least those physical cravings are gone. And then all we got to work on is the emotional and the mental reasons why we're still craving it. And
Right.
that's why nothing but spiritual stuff worked for me personally. That's why I say I'm not
Hmm.
for everyone, because I fill my void with spiritual shit now. Spiritual
Right.
shit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
How
Get rid of
eloquent of
that.
me. So
Get
yeah,
rid
when
of
you're
the.
when you feel like you're tired of like that fluff, you're tired of the manifestation, motivational fluff that you hear a lot, and you really want something a little bit deeper, that's a sign that I might be right for you. So
Yeah.
commitment.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Does the stuff that I say a little bit woo woo? Is that cool for you? Then you might want to
Yeah.
call me. But if it's not, like
Right.
I've had people be like, I don't want to talk about energy. I'm like, were you on my website? It's all woo
Yeah.
woo.
Yeah.
Like,
It's all
why'd you hire me, dude?
right. 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 No, I think that what I call like the motivational. I've done it myself. I call it mental masturbation. I'm like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
watch the motivation. And I'm like, I'm all like, yeah. I get the tingles, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this thing, and then I'm like, it was just like mental masturbation on YouTube. I'm like, but it's like not pornography, but it's like some pumped up video or something, and I'm like, oh man, wait a second, I haven't actually done anything. So so I see what you're saying, is that there's a real differentiation, that people have probably got a bit of traction, especially when it comes to addiction. So they've got a bit of traction, they're looking for the next level, and that next level includes spirituality and an energy like movement. You're the perfect person, am I right? That's what we're talking about.
Because this is stuff we have to work on every single day. And I'm glad you said what you just said, because we expect that energy to stay. And me, who I know law of attraction inside and out, I still catch myself in things. I don't do things that self-sabotage anymore. Like I said earlier, I put myself to bed. I do things. I have a morning routine. You can't slack on it. You need to raise your vibration every day. It's not like Abraham Hicks would say, it's not like a college degree you get and you get to keep. We can compare it to going to the gym. You don't get to go, okay, I have my perfect body, I'm all done now. It's going to go away if you don't keep up with it. The same with the energy. We have to do things every day. It's going to be different for everybody. And that's kind of what I help my clients figure out. Like sometimes they just feel stuck and they don't know what their passion is. Like, I don't have a passion. We figure that out together. What's your life purpose? A lot of times getting a life purpose, feeling passionate is going to keep you away from those addictions, because we're just stuck in these patterns. We're thinking the same thoughts as the day before, feeling the same feelings, taking the same actions. We're like, why doesn't my life change? Well, you got to change things. We're on autopilot, and I help people get out of autopilot.
I love it. So guys, this has been a lot of fun. I feel like the time has flown. And so, so all right, guys. Well, that is this is Mary Beth Schrudder, and she's been a magnificent guest. And this has been another episode of The Next Fix, guys. We'll see you on the next one.